welcome to an all-new edition of India Election Watch, our new show that breaks the clutter to bring you the biggest stories in Indian politics. No spins, no twists, no psephological jargon, direct points, questions and answers, clear analysis, because we believe that clarity has been buried under a deluge of irrelevant information and high decibel debates. I'm Palki Sharma Upadhyay and you're watching WION, World is One. We begin the broadcast today with the politics over Masood Azhar. In election season, every issue is an opportunity, and Rahul Gandhi is whipping up the Masood Azhar case. And this is how it began. The United Nations wanted to blacklist Masood Azhar. China blocked that move. Rahul Gandhi took to Twitter. He attacked Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He accused him of being weak and scared before Chinese President Xi Jinping. He tweeted to say, and I quote, "Weak Modi is scared of Xi. Not a word comes out of his mouth when China acts against India." The BJP was quick to respond. The party's official account hit back, saying that Rahul Gandhi's great-grandfather had gifted China a permanent seat at the UN Security Council. Of course, they were talking about Jawaharlal Nehru here. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley called the former Prime Minister, quote-unquote, the original sinner. Later, Union Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad had this to say at a press conference in New Delhi.
भारत को पीड़ा जब होती है तो आपको खुशी क्यों होती है? Why is Rahul Gandhi in a celebratory mood when the country stands pained by this kind of attitude of China? That is the larger question. आप इतने खुश हो जाते हैं? राजनीति में अंतर होगा, विरोध होगा, होना भी चाहिए, लेकिन क्या एक घोर आतंकवादी के खिलाफ कार्रवाई में चाइना की पुरानी नीति के दोहराए जाने पर भी आप खुश हैं? क्या हो गया है राहुल गांधी जी आपको? What has happened to you, Rahul Gandhi? I know your tweet must be headline news in Pakistan. आजकल आपको पाकिस्तान की मीडिया में और टीवी में अपने ट्वीट और अपने कमेंट को देखकर बहुत खुशी होती है.
Now, much has been said about fake news in election season, but what about fake claims? Let's examine the ones that were made today and see how much water they hold. This is an IEW fact check. Claim number one, what Rahul Gandhi said. He said that Prime Minister Modi is weak and Prime Minister Modi is scared of Chinese President Xi Jinping. What does the BJP's track record show? The Doklam crisis, India stood up to China. The Belt and Road Initiative, India did not give in to Chinese pressure. Delhi still boycotts that project. Kashmir, India has resisted China's repeated efforts to play mediator. If the reference was to the Doklam summit, it's plain wrong because Masood Azhar was never mentioned in Wuhan. It was a reset. The Wuhan summit was a reset, a de-escalation after the Doklam tension, a restart of dialogue, and it achieved the intended target, so the government says. Next, we have the BJP claim. Their tweet said that Jawaharlal Nehru gifted a permanent seat of the United Nations Security Council to China. Is that true? To some extent, yes. Nehru wanted to improve India's ties with China, and in the bargain, he gave the seat at the United Nations Security Council. It's a matter of documents. It is there for everyone to see. It's also true that Nehru wanted India to be considered for a permanent seat at a later date. We are still waiting for that date. Now for claim number three. Rahul Gandhi said that the National Security Advisor Ajit Doval had escorted Masood Azhar to Kandahar in 1999. This is plain wrong. Ajit Doval was indeed in Kandahar, but he was part of the team of negotiators that went well before Masood Azhar. In fact, Doval did suggest to Brijesh Mishra that Masood Azhar should not be released, but the Atal Bihari Vajpayee government went the other way. Came as a major surprise to us, but to the Congress, this would have been a major shock. Tom Vadakkan, an old Congress hand and former in charge of the party's media strategy, switched sides. He joined the BJP. Tom Vadakkan has spent nearly 20 years with the grand old party. He was once considered to be quite close to UPS chairperson Sonia Gandhi. But after joining the BJP, Tom Vadakkan said that he was disappointed by the party's response to the Balakot preemptive strikes.
I left the Congress party is with a heavy heart, because the attack by the Pakistani terrorist on our land and the reaction from my party was sad indeed. It hurt me deeply when you question the integrity of the armed forces. I'm deeply hurt, and that's precisely the reason why I'm here.
It is believed that Mr. Vadakkan is keen to contest the upcoming general election. Reports say the BJP has promised him a ticket. For the moment, he is winning the social media trend game. More on that later. Another key opposition leader, meanwhile, defected to the BJP today. Former member of the Trinamool Congress, Arjun Singh, was inducted into the BJP alongside Tom Vadakkan. A battle-hardened politician knows what to do before every election. They fight as if everything depended on it. Some dole out sops, others dish out blame, but there are some who'll go to any lengths to connect with the voters, even weep if needed. Former Prime Minister of India and Janata Dal secular leader H.D. Deve Gowda has done it again. It was the induction of his grandson Prajwal Revanna into politics. The right place to play the emotion card, it seems. Tears rolled down the cheeks of granddad Deve Gowda, son H.D. Revanna and grandson Prajwal. Deve Gowda sought the blessings of the people for his grandson. Sure, no problem, but why the tears, many are asking. He said that he was hurt by allegations of nepotism. He should be looking at these images. If 3 generations of one family running a party and a state without having majority does not qualify for charges of nepotism, what does?
ಈ ಮಾಧ್ಯಮಗಳನ್ನು ತೆಗೆದರೆ ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆ ದೇವೇಗೌಡ ರೇವಣ್ಣ ಕುಮಾರಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಅವ್ರ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ದಯಮಾಡಿ ಆಮೇಲೆ
The Congress may have some thoughts about this, but I doubt they will express those thoughts given the alliance. But the opposition has no such compulsions. The BJP mocked the episode as drama. A tweet said that the family had mastered the art of crying, and they may have a point. Members of the Deve Gowda family do cry before elections. Deve Gowda himself has done it multiple times in his half-century-long political career. His other son, Kumaraswamy, duly followed suit. During assembly election rallies, Kumaraswamy's tears and emotional appeals were a recurrent theme. Even after becoming Chief Minister, Kumaraswamy cries. One such time he said, heading the coalition government was like swallowing poison. Not sure who he was referring to when he said poison. Last July, Kumaraswamy wept again at a JDS event, saying that he became the Chief Minister only to complete the unfulfilled dream of his father. Congress leaders in Karnataka will know how hard the JDS bargained for the Chief Ministerial post. Amid the tears and emotions, here's a joke. It's important to break the gloom, you know. Hours before the Deve Gowda family sob scene took place, Deve Gowda had said that he will not contest this time because he wants to avoid charges of nepotism. Nepotism, and there begins the first drama of the 2019 election. It promises to be a fulfilling one. And so the preparations are on. It's the last lap ahead of general election. The Congress has named 21 candidates for the Lok Sabha election from UP and Maharashtra, and the list has some prominent names. Looks like the grand old party is preparing for a 3-way battle in India's largest state, Mayawati, largest state in terms of seats. Mayawati may have rejected the Congress, but the Congress has wooed former BSP leader Kaisar Jahan. She will contest from Sitapur in eastern UP, a seat where she won and she has proven credentials. In 2009, Kaisar Jahan won that seat. In 2014, she was the runner-up. Another Dalit leader who defected from the BJP, Savitri Phule, has been accommodated. She will contest for the Congress from Bahraich, also in Uttar Pradesh. The UP unit chief, Raj Babbar, will contest from Moradabad. Senior leader Shri Prakash Jaiswal, a former minister, will contest from Kanpur. But as usual, the party high command, the Congress party high command, failed to pay heed to the state unit. Several state leaders did not want former legislators to be given tickets, but former MPs Ratna Singh and Zafar Ali Naqvi will contest. And there was a bit of nepotism here as well. Former UP Chief Minister Kamalapati Tripathi's great-grandson has made his entry into electoral politics. That sums up the second list of candidates in UP. So candidates for 27 seats have been announced, including Amethi and Raebareli. From Maharashtra, the list of 5 is as expected. Former Home Minister Sushil Kumar Shinde will run for Solapur. Milind Deora from Mumbai South. Former MP Nana Patole from Nagpur. And Nagpur could be a mouth-watering contest. It's going to be Patole versus Nitin Gadkari. Priya Dutt will contest from Mumbai North Central. Tribal leader Namdev Sendi will contest from Gadchiroli Chimur constituency. And talking about Maharashtra, Congress's ally in the state, the Nationalist Congress Party has also come up with its first list of candidates. Party Supremo Sharad Pawar's daughter Supriya Sule gets a constituency, that's Baramati. And that is something of a family seat. Sanjay Dina Patil will contest from Mumbai Northeast. Anand Paranjpe from Thane. Sunil Tatkare from Raigad. Sharad Pawar has already ruled out contesting in this election. Keep checking the space to know who's contesting and from where. Next, let's decode for you how Mamata Banerjee plans to checkmate the BJP in West Bengal. The Trinamool Congress has 42 candidates in the fray this time, but there is a drastic overhaul in how these tickets have been distributed. 1 out of every 3 party MPs from Trinamool has been dropped. They've dropped more than 30% of their sitting MPs. That's 8 members of parliament in all. 2 others have quit the party and joined the BJP. Around 17 nominees are either new faces or people fighting the election from a new constituency. And finally, more than 40% of the tickets have been given to women. Why have they done this? 2 reasons. 1, the TMC is trying to beat anti-incumbency. 2, the party is trying to woo women voters. The battle for West Bengal will be a binary contest. 2 clear opponents here, the BJP and the Trinamool Congress. Mamata Banerjee is eyeing a major role in national politics now. Last month, she tried to project herself as a face of a united opposition. At the very least, she wants to play kingmaker if the lower house is split. Her strategy is in place. But this contest will not be a cakewalk. Amid talks of a dying grand alliance, the Congress sprung a surprise of sorts today. Priyanka Gandhi, the General Secretary of UP East, met Chandrasekhar Azad, the chief of the Bhim Army in Meerut last night. This was significant because the meeting came a day after BSP Chief Mayawati ruled out any alliance with the Congress. Is this meeting then an attempt to woo the Dalit vote in the state? Is an alliance on the cards? Who will be hurt by this alliance? What is the Bhim Sena and how strong is it? Let's answer them one by one. Priyanka Gandhi said that this meeting was not political. But here are the things that changed right after the meeting. The Bhim Army declared that they would contest elections in 2019. In fact, they said that their chief, Chandrasekhar Azad, will contest against Prime Minister Modi in Varanasi. And this is the first time this group is throwing its hat in the electoral ring.
जल्दी ठीक हो जाऊं तो परसों अपने लोगों के बीच में जाके बहुजन हुंकार रैली में दहाड़ मार के और पूरे भारत से आए अपनी भीम आर्मी की टीम को तैयार करूं कि वो भाजपा के ताबूत में आखिर कील ठोकने का काम करें.
The Bhim Army says that they will never side with the Congress party. They say they will back opposition parties against the BJP on seats where the Gathbandhan candidate or the alliance candidate is not strong. So who will this hurt the most? The votes that the Bhim Army gets or helps get are always going to be against the BJP, but the votes in favor of this outfit may change political fortunes for others as well. Because these votes will most likely be the SC/ST votes. And that's what Mayawati counts on. That's her vote bank, that's her turf. And she will not like fragmentation in her core vote. So how much of a dent will this make? It's hard to say because this will be the Bhim Army's first electoral test. They've never contested before. They're different from other Dalit political and social movements, more hard-nosed, more actively involved in protests, so much so that Chandrasekhar Azad, their chief, was detained by the Saharanpur police recently, and he fell sick and was admitted to a Meerut hospital where Priyanka Gandhi went to meet him. And that too is a bit of a statement for the Congress top leadership, one of the Gandhis, to get off their high horse, go all the way to a hospital in Meerut to meet a potential ally. The Bhim Army is part of a network of Dalit outfits across India. It can galvanize the Dalit vote, perhaps that's what the Congress is counting on. The Dalit vote accounts for more than 20% of votes in Uttar Pradesh. That's a huge chunk. What's buzzing on social media today? What made Twitter tick? Tom Vadakkan, who else? His shift to the BJP was pretty dramatic. Anyone who's followed Indian politics and the Congress party will know how close he was to the Gandhis at one point. Tom Vadakkan was the chief communicator of the party when the going got tough. So his jumping ship evoked a strong response. There was analysis and there were jokes. People went through his recent tweets with a fine-toothed comb. It was worth the effort. See what they found. Until yesterday, Tom Vadakkan was retweeting Priyanka Gandhi. Today, he's slamming her party. In politics, good sound bites are important. Sometimes they come back to bite you. Mr. Vadakkan is learning it the hard way today. Take, for example, his sarcastic comments on the BJP. The joke is on him now. Next on the trend list were Devagowda's tears, the toast of social media today. Nepotism was pointed out. The art of crying was picked up and trolled mercilessly. Some even called him the ideal grandfather. Social media even had a new acronym for JDS, Just Devagowda and Sons, JDS. And as expected, a tearful Yediyurappa was added quickly to the list of those who cried. Never a dull day on social media. For FAQ, frequently asked questions. In this segment, we try and bring you answers to some of the most pressing questions in election season. Much has been said about warmongering for votes. Let's address this issue straight up. Do wars get votes? Recently, the Election Commission of India pulled up a lawmaker for using Wing Commander Abhinandan Varthaman on political posters. So is national security an election issue in India? Does war rhetoric swing polls in India? To know the answer, we must look at the record. History always gives perspective. Let's start with 1962, the Sino-Indian War. Did it help? It did not help the Congress. The party lost both vote and seat share in the elections that followed. 3 years later, India fought a war with Pakistan. India won that war, but that did not translate into electoral gains for the ruling Congress party. 6 years later, that story changed, and that's when India won the 1971 war against Pakistan. Bangladesh was liberated, and within months, Indira Gandhi won the 1971 general election by a landslide. The 1971 war ended with a strategic win for India. It was a win for the ruling party as well, and the Congress party, all that it lost in the 1962 and 1967 elections, was regained in 1971. Then came the Kargil conflict. The year was 1999. I'm sure many of you have clear memories of it. India's political landscape had seen major shifts by then. India won that war too, although technically they call it a conflict, not a war. Be that as it may, India and Pakistan fought in 1999. India won, and then the BJP returned to power. The Kargil war had made no difference to their tally. Atal Bihari Vajpayee was Prime Minister again. That takes care of wars. Now, what about those situations where India decided to not fight? The 2001 Parliament attack. The BJP government under Atal Bihari Vajpayee chose not to respond militarily. 3 years later, they lost the general election. The two may be totally unrelated. We cannot say for sure. The UPA government did the same in 2008. Mumbai was attacked on the 26th of November. The Manmohan Singh government did not fight back militarily. Less than a year later, they returned to power. Clearly, there is no template. The current government has experienced this firsthand. The 2016 surgical strikes were followed by the Uttar Pradesh election. The BJP won big, 300 plus seats, the party's biggest ever win in that state. But only a few months later, the BJP barely made it in Gujarat. Beyond India, the history of the world suggests that even the greatest victories on the battlefield cannot guarantee an election win. In 1945, Winston Churchill led the Great Britain to victory in the Second World War. But later that year, he suffered a massive defeat in the general election. The prolonged Great Depression cost Churchill his prime ministership. Something similar happened with George H.W. Bush, the senior Bush. He managed to secure a win in the 1991 war in Iraq, the Gulf War, as we know it. But a year later, he lost the presidential election. So war does not guarantee votes. Winning a war does not guarantee electoral wins. Yes, there is a strong sentiment. Yes, people rally behind the security forces. Yes, they feel deeply. They express it too, especially in the age of social media. But there is nothing to suggest that a war will influence their voting preference. This is Know Your Candidate, a segment where we profile prominent politicians who are contesting the polls this year. You've heard their speeches, you've heard their promises. We get you the report card. What have these people done to deserve another term? And today we profile the UPA chairperson Sonia Gandhi. Her name is in the second list. She's contesting from Rai Bareli again. Right now she's the incumbent member of parliament from Rai Bareli. This is her fourth term in office. And in the upcoming election, she's asking for a fifth term. If she wins, she will have been an MP from Rai Bareli for 20 years straight. Sonia Gandhi attended 60% of the parliament sessions this year. That is 20% less than the national average of 80. In the last 5 years, Sonia Gandhi has participated in 6 debates in all. 6 debates in 5 years. She asked no questions to any member of parliament over 5 years. She introduced 0 bills in parliament over 5 years. Let's tell you about her constituency as well. Rai Bareli is a Congress stronghold. In the last 4 elections, Sonia Gandhi has secured comfortable victories here. She contested first in 2004 and then there was a by-election in 2006. In all the elections, Sonia Gandhi has secured more than 50% of the vote. But the Congress Supremo is often criticized for ignoring her constituency. In April 2018, for instance, Sonia Gandhi was slammed. She had visited Rai Bareli after a gap of 20 months, more than a year and a half. For such a high-profile constituency, Rai Bareli is in a shambles. It lags behind in basic development indices. A report in 2015 claimed that the constituency of Sonia Gandhi is struggling to meet the basic requirement of residents. Electricity, education. Rai Bareli's literacy rate stands at 68%. More than 3 lakh families are below the poverty line in this constituency. There are only a few institutions of higher education in Rai Bareli. The new old catchphrase in Indian politics is women's reservation. After years of grandstanding, some parties are walking the talk. They're giving a significant share of seats to women candidates. Some 33%, others allotting 40% of their seats. I'm not a huge fan of reservation personally, reservation of any kind, but I want to be optimistic. More participation means more representation, and more representation means more power to women. So in today's segment, we've decided to trace the rise of women in Indian politics. 43 women contested in India's first election. There were a total of 1,874 candidates. 43 of them were women. So that's less than 3% of the total candidates. But look at their success rate. 22 women became MPs. That's more than 50% of the women contenders. They won. 15 of these MPs were from the Congress party, 1 from the then United Communist Party and 1 from the Hindu Mahasabha. The remaining 5 were independents. Come 1957, India's second election, there were 45 women candidates in the fray and 27 women MPs, 5% of the total pool. The 1962 elections, 70 candidates out of nearly 2,000 and 34 of them became MPs. The 1967 elections saw for the first time a fall in the number of women MPs. 31 women were elected as lawmakers. Now, this is a very interesting story. 1962 to 67, the fall in the number of women MPs. This was the same period when Indira Gandhi emerged as a politician. A lawmaker from the upper house, the leader of the Congress party, and then the Prime Minister of India. A sharp rise for one woman. It's hailed as historic. Sure it is. But in such adjectives, we lose the big picture, the big statistic. As one woman rose, there was a fall in the representation of women in India's parliament. 1971 followed the trend that was set in 1967. Just 22 women were MPs, 4% of all the lawmakers of the country. It dipped further in 1977 after the emergency to barely 19. The numbers picked up after that. The 1984 elections, which gave a thumping majority to Rajiv Gandhi, also gave 42 women a chance to represent their constituency, a whopping 8%. It was a record then. 28 lawmakers in 1989, 36 in 91, 40 in 1996, 44 in 98. The number nearly touched 50 in 1999, the election that saw Atal Bihari Vajpayee forming a government and completing the first full term in office by any party other than the Congress. The 2004 election saw 45 women candidates winning. A record 59 were part of the 15th Lok Sabha in 2009, and then the record was beaten again in 2014. 61 women were part of the 537-member strong Lok Sabha, and more importantly, their voices are heard more now. From 43 candidates in 1952 to 402 candidates in 2014, the rise in participation has been evident and sharp. But do all these women really represent themselves? That's a question worth considering. Indira Gandhi was nominated, designated for the post by the senior leaders of the Congress. It's a different story that she checkmated them. There is no doubting her appetite for politics. But the rise has often come to the privileged. We have more examples, not just Indira Gandhi. From Sonia Gandhi to Supriya Sule, through Jayalalitha, Kanimori and Rabri Devi, privilege and pliability to some extent help these women. Let's look at the record of each party now. In the last 2 decades, no party has given more than 10% of seats to women. The Congress has given close to 10%, which is the best. The BSP, interestingly, a party headed by a woman, Mayawati, has fielded the least number of women candidates, barely 5%. It's a party headed by an underprivileged woman. Great symbolism, but numbers tell you a totally different story. What is she doing to help other women? More than the candidates, the number of ministers tells you the power dynamics. Right now, there are 7 women ministers in the government. The highest was 10 in 2004. On a global level, how does India compare? India is at 103, that's our rank, 103 out of 140 countries in terms of women's representation. That's not a good record. Now, another question beckons. Does the rise in the number of women lawmakers mean a push for equality? Not necessarily, because at the state level, the proportions have fallen. And therein lies a question. It's all good to give more tickets to women. It is good politics, good optics, but it's also important to make it meaningful by giving them representation in all platforms.